So about Oddness, I have had this theory for a while now that all of the 1/3 girls are able to perceive some type of oddness. In a way, just like the other circle member said, we all are a little bit odd. Heejin says that she sees color awaken around her, that then takes her out of her lame routines and normal, boring black and white life. So Heejin might be able to see oddness, which could make sense because of the references to the Sweet Crazy Love MV, where we then see everything in black and white until the members meet and awaken their odd eyes, and the oddness around them colors this world. So we know that black and white scenes show the world as it is without oddness, while the colored scenes are supposed to show us this different kind of world, this colorful world, that you can only see if you're able to perceive oddness. Which then could mean that, yes, Heejin is able to see this oddness as well. And on the other hand, I also believe that what we see in Vivid is less of Heejin's experiences and more so her having a vision. We see Heejin quote-unquote talking to this other person that then turns out to be herself. She speaks in French, which in and of itself doesn't really make that much sense, especially for a normal Korean schoolgirl that she is described as again and again in the MV descriptions. So what if all this just supposed to let us know that Heejin isn't actually going through this, but instead seeing something that isn't supposed to be there? As though she herself isn't even able to figure out this strange new place around her, where people speak a language she doesn't understand, and where things seem to be different, kind of odd, and on their heads. This is where the Alice in Wonderland reference comes into play. I believe that Heejin is falling through the rabbit hole right into Eden, like Alice did to Wonderland. This version of herself she sees cleaning and being pushed around by the posh-looking Heejin could be a metaphor for her mirror member, Hyeju being pushed around in Eden and having to clean up because the headmistress told her so. This would also explain why Heejin knows about her mirror member, and it would also explain why her MV and photoshoot seem to reference Eden. I mean, we kind of know that YYXY also had to do similar things in a similar looking place, wearing similar looking clothing. It could have been a way for them to foreshadow the mirror members, a concept that at the time we wouldn't even be able to understand, since we didn't know that there was Earth and the mirror of that, Eden. Then we have Hyunjin, who is a really shy girl that seems to be pen pals with a cat, but not really with a cat, but instead with Gowon. We see Gowon make this bracelet in a cinema theory video, and she puts it around the cat's neck. The cat gives it to Hyunjin, and Hyunjin tries to find the cat to give the cat some letters. Seemingly, her storyline of being too shy to confront her crush is a metaphor for her being too shy to confront Gowon, since she keeps her letters and never gives them to the cat/crush, after all, while the cat/Gowon gives Hyunjin a friendship gift. So in a way, again referencing the mirror members, we just don't know it yet. So although Hyunjin doesn't seem to communicate much back, she seems to at least be able to see the oddness around her and interact with it, seen in her being able to see and interact with the cat, at the end even becoming one herself, metaphorically. I mean, in Gowon's MV they do talk to one another through the shape of a shadow and a mirror and a cat, so yeah. Maybe Hyunjin is even able to shape oddness to interact with people in different realms. Also nicely fitting the fact that she was able to move to Middle-earth to interact with Choerry for the short moment in Girlfriend. This would be very difficult to explain if we believe that Hyunjin knows nothing about oddness or the other circle members and is not able to use any powers at all, because then how would she be able to even see Choerry go to Middle-earth and show her the way to another member? After this, Haseul meets her doppelganger in the snow desert, and when we take the metaphor of the little prince into account, then she shoots the boy Haseul to free him and send him back to his home. What I'm guessing is that this is a similar situation to Choerry being asleep in the car. Maybe you can enter Middle-earth either through your powers, fruits, or through your dreams. Choerry falls asleep before traveling to Middle-earth. She sleeps when she is driving by Kim Lip, and Haseul seems to have been sleeping in the car before the MV starts as well. This would also be a funny way of connecting all of the MVs. In Heejin's MV she has to do housework, but she could have also fallen asleep on the couch because housework is making you tired and bored. Hyunjin is writing a letter and has her head lying on the table. she could have fallen asleep while writing this letter as well. Haseul was kind of literally sleeping in the car, as well as Hyejin, who was sleeping in the bed. Vivi is a different case because we know that her MV shows us broken memories, but when do you remember things in a skewed way? Yeah, well, typically when you're asleep. And then Choerry obviously is sleeping in the car in the Sweet Crazy Love MV, and when she eats the cherries, she also falls asleep in her own MV. You could even argue that Jinsoul might have fallen asleep as well. Think about it, she seemingly is going home from school, since she is wearing a school uniform and has a backpack on her back. Like the other members, she is sitting all alone in the train, putting in her in-ear headphones. So wouldn't it be possible that she started to sleep on her way home and thus be teleported to Middle-earth for the first time? So in a way, Sweet Crazy Love would be her falling asleep in the train with the fish, and then that would continue in her solo MV, Singing in the Rain, where she, with the fish in hand, is walking around Middle-earth being confused. So what if 1/3, just like Odd Eye Circle, are able to see Oddness, but the difference is that since the Odd Eye Circle members have odd eyes, maybe they are not only able to see it from afar, but they are able to move to Middle-earth with their body and soul, so are able to change the realms and thus connect Earth to Eden. But are the 1/3 girls maybe also able to change Oddness around them? So Haseul passively enters Middle-earth through this car and is able to see and interact with Oddness, seen in her being in the Black Void space in the Let Me In MV. But she also is seen in this Black Void space in Chuu's Heart Attack MV, but there we don't quite know if she entered passively or actively was going to Middle-earth. Either way, in both MVs she also interacts with another person, and in both cases I feel like she is helping the other person out of Middle-earth. After she meets Chuu, Chuu returns to Eden, and after she meets her bird self, which I think is a metaphor for Vivi, Vivi joins the other 1/3 members on Earth. Hyejin is an interesting case, since on one hand she also seems to be able to see and interact with Oddness, seen through her interacting with the frog prince that might be Choerry, and she jumps around places together with Haseul, like it is said in the MV descriptions. Haseul, who seemingly is able to move with her body and soul, is not the same as Hyejin, who seemingly isn't able to do so. Haseul can find her way back, while Hyejin seems to be lost in the forest / Eden for some time, like it is also said in the MV descriptions. Maybe Hyejin is able to interact with Oddness, but unable to fully see it, hence why Choerry in her MV looks like a frog prince, kind of a form that would freak you out. She just isn't able to fully see her for who she is, but sees kind of a scary frog prince that tries to push her around. So she isn't even really able to see that the frog prince only tries to help her. And finally, and most importantly for this theory, Vivi is able to see Oddness, and maybe even more importantly, she seems to be able to see the other places of the Mobius strip without being there. Thinking about it, after Vivi joins the other 1/3 members, Hyejin is just gone. Kind of a cool detail when we look at the album covers as well. We have Heejin and Hyunjin joining to form Loona, then Loona and Haseul and Loona and Hyejin, but Haseul is not yet part of Loona, seen in her being her own cover with Hyejin and Haseul instead of being on the cover of Hyejin and Loona. And for Vivi's cover, they have Vivi and Haseul instead of Vivi and Loona. So again, Haseul not yet being a part of Loona, and neither is Vivi. And in their second title track, Sonatin and Rain 51 Decibel, they seem to be casting some kind of arcane spell of love, maybe to get Hyejin back, but how would they even know where Hyejin is, and how would they know how to use magic to get her back? Maybe this is where Vivi having powers starts to make a lot more sense. From Love and Evil's description, we first got to know that Hyejin is missing. So this happens after the first album, where Vivi was able to partly remember her past and has gained back her human side, her emotions. So Hyejin being lost is explained to us on the same album, where they start to cast the spell through Sonatin and Rain 51 Decibel. So maybe Vivi was the first one to notice Hyejin being lost, because she saw her going into the forest after Haseul, hence why she becomes closer to Haseul, being that she maybe was the one to tell Haseul that Hyejin was lost, and then they would help each other to get back Hyejin. This makes their connection clear. Then this would lead to them joining Heejin and Hyunjin, who also already had connections to Eden through their visions and communications with their mirror members. And then they all come together as Loona 1/3 and find a way to connect with the other girls lost in the forest of Eden, aka YYY, like it is also stated in their album description. So maybe Vivi has eyes that shine like a galaxy, because in this moment, Vivi's eyes travel through the galaxy. At the end of Love and Live, she ends up in a strange new place because she followed what her eyes were showing her instead of following the track that was set before her. She knew how to assemble a witch coven and create a arcane spell of love because her eyes showed her how to do so. So the other 1/3 girls are really just ordinary schoolgirls in the first place, like it is said in the MV descriptions, but then Vivi joins them, who is from a different place, and she could have taught them a lot about this magic. I mean, how would they even know so much about the other realms, Oddness, and these kind of spells otherwise? And this would also explain the nature of the VHS MVs. Since her broken memories may just be moments lost in time, she can see something, but it's difficult, symbolized by the screen turning this light, so that you can barely see anything. So anytime VHS is used, we know that it's not 100% trustworthy what we see. It's not really happening, but a metaphor for something that actually happens. When Yves then reaches out for Vivi in the new MV, what do we see? Vivi opening her eyes. She sees Yves reaching out for her. And then she meets Yves in what could be Middle-earth, and they talk about Yves' plans to get the YYY members out of Eden. Then Vivi maybe had the idea to connect the members with their 1/3 counterparts to help them out, telling the YYY members about the girls that are not too dissimilar that they already had a connection with. And maybe that's why Chuu meets Haseul in her The Carol outfit. This was before Chuu was enlightened, so she was unable to see Oddness around her, i.e. seeing Haseul. And at the same time, Haseul guided Chuu back to Eden, because at this time she didn't yet know that Eden was a bad place that Chuu shouldn't return to. Also, Haseul was already able to see Oddness and interact with it at the time, because she already had traveled to Middle-earth and let me in, and had opened her eyes to this Oddness. She seems to be one of the members that is able to see and interact with Oddness a little easier. Also connecting to the fact that the descriptions tell us about Haseul jumping around places, which is kind of unique to her and Hyunjin, who we both know are able to go to other places, unlike Heejin and Hyunjin. Gowon was too scared of her members, and so Choerry tried to help her, but that still didn't work out. So maybe Vivi helped Hyunjin to project herself to Eden and help out Gowon in the form of her doppelganger/shadow. Haeju didn't really need motivation to go into Middle-earth, since she wanted to follow her other YYY members, but she has a hard time finding her way out of it, so Jinsoul helps her by enlightening her through eating her fruit, and then Heejin does the rest by greeting her on Earth. Another important detail is the fact that we never really see the 1/3 members in Eden, only Hyunjin in this shadow form, and then only Hyunjin and Choerry seem to literally be in Eden, so not every 1/3 or odd circle member has the same powers, making it even more believable that they needed to all come together as one group to connect all of the members together and get the YYY members out of Eden. Without 1/3, YYY maybe wouldn't have been able to exit Eden, but without Odd Circle, maybe they wouldn't have been able to properly communicate with one another. So maybe Vivi being able to overlook all of the realms and the things happening simultaneously in some of them is what connects all of these points that till now were kind of unexplainable. I mean, how do normal schoolgirls learn how to perform an arcane spell of love? How did YYY find out about their mirror members? And quite honestly, this could explain this all-seeing eye that was watching over the other circle members. This far, I always assumed that this was Yves, since I always thought it was strange how much Yves is connected to the other circle members, and how she was able to contact some of them. But maybe this wasn't just her alone. Maybe she was only able to do this with a lot of help from Vivi. I mean, they are mirror members after all. And this could also explain why we see Hyunjin, a 1/3 member, in the Girlfriend MV, connecting to Choerry. Maybe Vivi was able to see Choerry in Middle-earth, and because she knew that Hyunjin could project herself to another realm, she asked Hyunjin to help out and guide Choerry to another person, i.e. Yves, since we do see at the end of the MV and in the Lunatic MV that a new girl is running around the other circle members. This I do still believe is Yves, since we also see Choerry and Yves connect in a cinema theory video. But again, this also only really would be possible if there was a member that was able to connect to all 3 realms. And to me this is Vivi, being a 1/3 girl that originally is from Eden and that can see through all of the realms, through her galaxy eyes. And then the reason why Vivi's eye is a galaxy and not a typical odd eye is simply because she is not an odd eye circle member. Unlike the odd eye circle members, she cannot move freely to Eden and Middle-earth, since she doesn't have the same powers the odd eye circle members have. But Vivi is able to see things that happen outside of her realm, so that's why they highlight it without making it the same as an odd eye. Just like they use the blank void space as a visual indicator of Middle-earth in Haseul, Hyejin's, Jinsoul's, Yves, and Chuu's MVs. It might not literally be the same void space, but making it look like the same one space is an easy visual indicator for people to know that these moments and events are connected. They are all connected and point towards the same outcome. So all in all, Vivi's eye is not an odd eye, but she is able to see oddness with it. And she is even able to see the other realms, which then explains why Hyunjin knew where Choerry was in the Girlfriend MV. And it would explain why Choerry, Yves, and Vivi seem to be connected through the new MV. They seem to be the only 3 members that are able to go or see something outside of their own realm. Vivi through having her galaxy eye, Choerry through being an odd eye circle member that is able to travel to all of the realms, and Yves through also seemingly being able to see outside of her own realm and being able to travel through Middle-earth quite easily, seen in her new MV, where she also comes in contact with Vivi and Choerry, and through her appearance in the Girlfriend and Lunatic MVs. So yeah, in a way this was another video pointing out the importance of Vivi, but since this was all about odd eyes and seeing oddness, I kind of wanted this to be its own video. So if you have any questions, you can comment them down below and I will try to answer you as best as I can. And if you like the video, you can like and subscribe. I would appreciate it, and I will see you next time.